All right. So welcome everybody to the Crypto Talk AMA for SQUIDWORLD. I would like to thank Crypto What especially for hanging out inside of the Discord and coming in and being willing to answer
Right.
everybody's questions. Um, so I guess does anybody have anything specific to start?
I can go ahead and tell who I am.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I am a co-founder and chief strategist. So my daily job is being a business unit manager in an IT company here in Norway.
I got
So
you.
I've been in crypto since 2017. Started off as an investor, doing some ETH ICOs, having my own community since 2018, the Scandinavian Crypto Pub Talk. We are around 320 members, investors in a closed community on Telegram. So we kind of being educational for newbies and those who wants to get into crypto, together with us more experienced whales. So I've been a founder of a couple VC projects before, and the reason for me joining SQUIDWORLD was that I met up with Crypto K21 and G3C and some others, whales from another Legion play, and we got scammed in a way. So we found out, okay, we're gonna do this much better ourselves. So that is the reason behind this. And
Okay, sweet. So just for sake of clarity, then, so we're for sure thinking this is like, more or less a degen play, of course, with the name. Do you plan on eventually having any sort of purpose or utility, or is this really just a community-driven project, like as a way of saying it?
no, for sure, it's not a DJ play, and it's not community driven. Of course, every token is community driven, but we are kind of making utilities ready at launch. So we will have staking and LP staking or farming at launch. We have a development team in Holland doing all that work for us. I think there are 25 developers down there. So we do sprints with them. So the first phase now into our introduction phase before we go into growth is to have that ready. And just days or a week after, we will have also a mini game and a lottery app, all set to go. So I think that is something that shows that we are properly planned and we are a well thought out project in the foundation to be a successful business. So we are experienced business and IT professionals with around 50 years altogether in real life experience in logistics and change management, information technology, and business systems. So we are not crypto devs, but we are business people. So with that, we come to you guys with a strong determination and well established motivation to take this SQUIDWORLD token to the next level. So we're kind of riding the wave, of course, with the SQUIDWORLD theme or Squid Game theme. With the name SQUIDWORLD, we want to kind of catch everyone that are fans into this. So we are not just looking at the TV series itself, but we are looking at the Emmy Awards, we're looking at reality shows and everything that is around this Squid Game effect.
Okay, awesome. I guess kind of just to go into the next line of questioning, could you tell me a little bit about where the project is in terms of its lifespan, right? So, I'll give you kind of like a three-part question. First off, was there a private sale and has that already been completed? And then second off, have you completed your public pre-sale yet? If there is a public pre-sale, or if there's any other pre-sales in between, I guess just kind of asking that lineage.
Mm.
Um,
Well, yeah, I think a lot of you guys knows that there has been a private sale. Many of you guys went into that with a contribution of max zero point 0.5 in total of 20 BNB hard cap. So that was just a tease to see if there's interest and also to cover some expenses. So that doesn't affect uh, the pre-sale itself or the launch. But those who contributed with a small half BNB into private will have 10% extra on top of the pre-sale allocation and 11% of the launch.
okay,
So next up now, we are gathering whitelists, closing tomorrow for the pre-sale on Monday at 12 p.m. UTC, which is 2 for me local time and 10 in the evening for Australia. Not sure about you guys, but I think it's early morning.
yeah, I
Um,
know there's a lot of Americans in here.
yeah. So we will have a soft cap of 75 and a hard cap of 150. So it's not a big pre-sale either. So it will fill pretty fast, I think. Right now we have allocation of over 100 whitelisted people and more coming in. So the minimum contribution for each wallet will be 0.25 and the max will be 4.5 BNB. So all in all together, if you didn't participate in the private, you would get around 1% of a total wallet allocation then at launch. And at launch, you will be able to have max 3% wallet. And in one transaction, you can buy up to 0.5%. So we
Okay,
need to portion it out to have a steady, good chart.
awesome. And then just for anybody who's not familiar, could you run us down on your tokenomics?
Yeah, I guess that's the most important stuff. Not sure if we also have our project lead hearing us and also able to talk.
Sorry, everyone. Good morning. Um, just, just trying to get this sorted with the difficult voice and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you guys. Good morning. Thank you, the manager, for obviously stayed up late to join this chat. With the tokenomics, we've got. I mean, have you guys received that light paper that we just put out recently, around half an hour ago? Had a chance to look through that as yet, or?
I personally haven't, but I don't know if anybody else here has. But just in case, you may want to, hit some of those highlight items if you want to touch on any of those.
Okay, so essentially, the logic, as the manager said, we came into this space. I mean, I myself personally has been an investor for a fair bit, been in crypto, well, in and out, sort of from an investment perspective since 2014. My background, as the managers alluded to, was the formal background is in obviously information technologies. Um, Dealing with business systems and all that to date. There hasn't really been, look, I'll be upfront with you guys. For me personally, there hasn't really been a need for me to get into crypto per se. Obviously, I've got a quite a successful business outside crypto that I run. And as we said, what triggered me off, obviously, is when I got back in there and seeing all this Um, I think the SQUIDWORLD 2, as well as Goblins and all the other teams that sort of came out and made all these empty promises and saying, obviously, all the other investors, including myself, get burnt in this respect. And that's probably I guess, the main driver behind us pushing for SQUIDWORLD. We want to actually, I know it's not an easy road for us, but we got to start somewhere as a team. We want to bring back, obviously, the transparency and the trust within the space, and with you guys help in support, and obviously we understand you guys want this change as well. And I myself is KYC, obviously with Anthony Docs as well as Interfi. And there are obviously thoughts down the tracks that we, if it's warranted, we can dox ourselves down the tracks as well. Going back to the tokenomics, the thought behind the whole concept here is that we're going to have a staking and obviously the DApp and that happening as well. So we've allocated around 17% of the total supplies toward that. 16.3%, which is obviously around 60% of the pre-sale, has been allocated to liquidity. That will be locked for around 183 days. The private sales, we've allocated obviously 4% plus a 10% bonus, so that equates to around 4.4%. 2.3%, we sort of leave it in there for possible future partnership. Now, that may be in the form of obviously other marketing firms who want to partner with us, as well as the potential, obviously, if we, I know this is probably a, as far as the Netflix series and obviously the officials and all that there, when we do come around to obviously the opportunity presented itself for us to have a conversation with them, that percentage obviously is also acting as a carrot, if you like, to entice them to come into the crypto space. We've got 30%, as I mentioned, allocated to pink sold. 10% we put aside for obviously the exchange listing. As you guys know, they would need tokens and all that for us to be able to list on the exchange and all that. So that's in the pipeline in our roadmaps. 5% has been allocated to the marketing wallet. Now, this will be obviously allocated things like airdrops or shillings and bringing people in to enable our exposure to the general public at large. Another 5% has been allocated to the prize wallet. Now, of that 5%, the 3% will be allocated to the SQUIDWORLD Island Grand Finale. So the concept behind that for us is obviously to build more or less like a Squid Game sort of theme adventure games where you have the opportunity to obviously buy with the in-game purchase and rewards and what have you, with the ultimate winning price of around 3% of the total supply. The other 2%, obviously for the other price and all that, including the raffles and what have you that we're thinking of. 6% has been allocated to the team, the team wallet. That will be vested for 3 months. As you know, we we walk in here. Obviously, there's a fair bit of private funds putting into making sure that we meet our roadmaps and as well as the promise there. We want to actually go to the market with not just empty promise. We want to go into the market with obviously some utility in place so that people can see that we are the real deal. We're not here to muck people around. So with the pre-sale, as soon as the pre-sale is completed, you will have at launch the DApp and the swap and the staking utilities in place. 4% has been allocated to the development wallets. Now, the logic behind that is that while we are obviously engaging other external teams, development teams and all that to do the work for us and fund it accordingly, The logic behind the 4% allocation into that development wallet is to entice good and obviously capable people develop, in-house, ultimately in-house development team. That's what we're looking at, and if we can incentivize them with that 4%, that's the logic behind it. And I think that's pretty much what the token supply allocation.
Awesome, man. That was a comprehensive run through. I really do appreciate that. That was awesome. So I guess I just want to give a quick chance for anybody who's in here to feel free to step up and ask a question. Anybody from the audience, I'll give a moment or two.
Yeah, you said max buy and sell is 0.5%. Is that of like the circulating supply or the total supply?
The max transaction you mean for the buy and sell, that's set as for the total, well, not the total supply. So if you think of it with regards to the launch and the on PCS, for example, anyone who purchase or make a purchase or sell can only sell up to the max of 0.5% per transaction. So they can do multiple transactions, but they can only max it at one time around 0.5%.
Just to follow up on that, do you mean 0.5% of the amount that they hold or 0.5% of supply?
Of supply.
Okay, and I think in regards oh yeah, I was just gonna say in regards to whether or not it's circulating or total supply, is it just the number of tokens, like including the burned amount, or did you guys factor the burned amount into that percentage?
It's inclusive of the burn amount in that percentage.
Okay, okay, sweet. Um, so hopefully that helps Keltner a little bit of clarification there. But
Well, I mean, I guess from our perspective, the reservation's always been to ensure that obviously our loyal and true investors are not being disadvantaged in that respect. So the actual smart contract itself, I mean, the flexibility is there for us as a team. We set that at 0.5%. There are flexibility of us to reduce that or increase that in that respect. But having said that, it's hard for us as a team. I know that people look at the smart contract and say, well, it's not renounced and it's not this and it's not that. And it's fair enough for them to say that from that perspective, because obviously they've been burned before and they've been, scammed and rug pulled and all that. But we ask that they need to look at obviously from a team perspective as well. We go into this to make sure um, that our investor get value for their money. And if anything that we can assist in terms of our ability to manage the market to enable us to actually benefit our investor, that's a primary aim behind, I guess, the smart contract for us as well.
yeah, and I mean that's understandable. I know the whole renounce thing is kind of a hot topic, but if you end up trying to implement utilities in an ecosystem around this token, you don't want a renounced contract. You want the ability to stay agile with the environment. And I can, attest from my experience, so I'm from MetaBUSD coin. That's how most people know me. Me and, Chris kind of are the forefront on that one. And we don't renounce our contract. We still have access to, being able to change it. And we've been slowly lowering the token tax as volume grows because we don't need to take such a large chunk of the each respective transaction as the volume increases. So we started with a 12% transaction tax. Now we're down to 10%. As volume consistently increases, we're looking to lower it. And so that's, one of the long-term beneficial parts of not renouncing is you won't have to relaunch your contract every time you want to make a change.
That's
And it
exactly
makes
right.
it yeah, it makes it easier for the holders. So even if it's an airdrop, I mean, an airdrop is an expense for the project in the end. Ultimately, like airdrops aren't free. So that's definitely, an understandable thing, at least from my perspective. And I think everybody here is probably understanding of that as well. Although at the same time, it is understandable to have reservations about it because, like you had mentioned, tons of people have been burned. I mean, I think I literally lost like $800 in scam tokens in the
Mhm.
last week or something like that. So, granted, I do a lot of aping and degenning. That's why, and that's on my own dime, of course. But I definitely understand those reservations.
So I guess if we can put people's minds at ease, and this is why even in the light paper, I keep driving from an angle of that, obviously our experience as an investor, right? So we understand where people coming from. We're in their shoe. We've been in their shoe. We understand this, and obviously we want to see that we can bring some change into this space. So I completely understand. I'm going into this with no illusions. I don't want to scam people. I don't need to scam people with my other obviously outside business and all that. But I want to walk in here obviously with the teams. I mean, we've talked a fair bit between Chase3C and the manager in regards to how we could bring value into the space and all that. So, I mean, from your guys' perspective, we we might be new kids on the block, but we do have the capability and the resource and the experience to make something out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of course, there's always going to be a perception from some groups as like new kids on the block, but back in December, that was, pretty much where NBC was. We were the new kids on the block, and people were very unsure, like, oh, another, meta project. But, here we are, we're paying developers and everything's the real deal. So I can definitely appreciate that. And I also can appreciate your guys' business experience. For context, I work as an auditor, and so I audit large financial services companies. So it's good to have that experience because that really is like the backbones of what's going on behind a project. If you really want it to be a serious thing, that's where those huge organization tactics come into play, in my opinion.
Look, just a bit of a background for myself. I mean, I've well, probably around 30 years or so experience in business management, as well as the obviously information technologies and all that. Um, so I okay. I'm just thinking how much I can disclose the information in terms of my private life without.
Oh, it's all good. You don't have to disclose too much. I'm not trying to make you
Yeah.
uncomfortable or
So
anything.
okay. Put it this way: we run a very successful business outside crypto, and I mean, as you know, I'm based out in Australia. We've got multiple contract with Australian governments and what have you there. So from that perspective, we understand obviously the seriousness and the accountability behind any project that we initiate. And with me, you will have that experience coming into this space.
Very nice. And so you mentioned you're based out of Australia. I know not everybody is. Out of curiosity for Squidworld, do you guys have a PLC behind it then, or is it based out of somewhere else?
Um, look, the manager is in obviously EU, and then we've got obviously another core team member out in Canada. So for us,
Yeah.
it's a time zone thing for us as well in this. Look, as we progress further, we obviously will put things in place in that respect as well. But at this stage, it's more to do with all hands on deck to try and mobilize this project.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to mention, I guess as I could attest to my experience as an auditor and being into accounting and stuff. Having those things in place can protect your uh, businesses and organizations that are outside of crypto as well if you can isolate them into its own respective PLC, those activities, for example. Like I'm just using PLC because I know that's what you guys use, I think, out of Australia primarily, but out here in the US, it's an LLC. I think in Canada, it's also an LLC. I think there might be some weird name for it, depending on which side of EU everybody else is on. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because over time, it definitely I think has its values, especially as the utilities from the project start generating revenue. Especially that's something you're definitely going to want to have in place.
Yeah, look at this from that angle. I mean, I'm pretty pedantic outside crypto as well as inside crypto far as securities and all that. I manage our obviously internal company IT stuff and all that there through obviously AWS and what have you in that respect there. So I do appreciate the security angle. I mean, as Interfi would have probably told you how pedantic I am with even the smart contract audits. So at this stage, even though we engaged in external, obviously development teams and what have you in that respect there, but and they do have their system in place and security mechanism in place and all that there. But I would want also even with the swap and the DAP and all that there, we would want our own internal audits in order to make sure that there's nothing obviously loopholed or security hold in this instance as well. But as I said, we are still pretty new in regards to mobilizing, obviously putting system in place as we progress further and the coin itself become obviously a well-known, has the exposure and enable us to actually bring in the financial cash flow and all that. We would look at obviously bring all these things in-house as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, I will say that personally, with a lot of the drama that's gone on recently, especially, people are finding that external development teams are often a huge weak point, at least for like fully external. I mean, it's one thing if you're like farming out stuff, I guess I would say, at least in the intermediate time. But I think, you explained that well. You guys are holding those, team tokens as well, just to try to entice some other developers to stay in house as well. So
Oh, it's a balancing act, if you like, for us in this respect. We have the concept, we understand the risk, we understand obviously to a certain degree the markets and all that as well. How we manage that to obviously to the best of our ability by mitigating all these risks and all that. That's obviously my approach as the initial starting point. But like I said, as any small or startup business, as you know, we I guess we've got to start somewhere and then improve on those obviously risk and what have you down the track. So
Yeah.
that's all I can say. I mean, I'm trying to be open as much as I can, transparent, and that's probably the reasoning why we wanted to push this as well. So people understand and they don't walk into this whole thing under any illusion.
Yeah, and I really don't think that we need to have everything in house because I work in the IT industry and we live off with freelancers and the global teams in virtual teams around development and utilizing stuff. So we harvest competency and lessons learned of each other, and yeah, doesn't have to be on the same side of the globe or in the same business building. So I don't agree with that.
yeah, no, it absolutely doesn't have to be on the same side of the globe or the same business building. I'm referring to if you're having to deal with a third party directly as your main development team, there can be some breakdowns in communication. I'm not saying it happens to everybody. Of course it doesn't, especially not people with IT experience, behind it like yourselves. But from
Well,
the
isn't
random
most
investor perspective, that's
it,
often something that people run into.
isn't most of the crypto experiences third party people? It's not like you sit with your closest friend and develop stuff. You find the best competency out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes you'll try to retain them, right? And that's, kind of what I was leading to is you guys use the tokens as an attempt to retain that competency that you find out there. So I
Exactly.
think you
And
guys are on the road to going down the right path there. But I don't know if you're I guess in tune or have read the room with the recent actions that have happened, I guess, within the Binance Smart Chain between the BBTF stuff and the fiber company that was a third party development company that did work for a large number of projects that pretty much just folded recently.
hmm,
But there's a lot of context to that, I guess, insight. So I just wanted to say, like, that wasn't like a jab at how you guys are doing it. It's just that that's actually fairly topical right now.
Yeah, and it's like this in the real world as well. I live in a very high cost country, and a lot of companies in Norway, if they're industry or offshore oil and gas and stuff, they do also uh, kind of put contracts to low cost countries like India and Singapore and Philippines and stuff. So of course there's a high risk outsourcing in terms of the ownership then gets very strong on the other parts, and they can of course also use that to their advantage when the contract runs out or needs to be renewed. So there has been a lot of issues in terms of that also in the real life, that guys in India can shut down platforms and oil wells, and that's not a good thing, of course. So everything needs to be audited, and there's a long way before everything is perfect in the crypto industry as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, but I just wanted to kind of also allow a chance as well, just intermittently here, for anybody else to ask some questions. I know it's mainly been just me up here. I appreciate you asking one, Keltner. But if anybody wants to ask one, feel free to unmute real quick.
I can shoot in that. Some other projects I've done in the past, we have onboarded team members. They say they have this and that competency and lessons learned, and they are high skilled people, but usually they're basically not. So they cannot run away, like you also are telling that people do shut down their roles or just disappears. So in this project, we have done quite a good work in onboarding people that we do believe in, and we also onboard people we find on Fiverr and also that comes to us in Telegram. And one important model that we can use is, of course, that when we onboard them, we do not pay them in upfront. We pay them weekly after they have worked, and we want to pay them in tokens, which is allocated in portions every week. In that term, they know that if they then go all in on this, they will also have a bag that is more worth 3 months, 6 months ahead than it is next week. So we really want people that doesn't need money there and then, but that actually wants to do change management with us and also disrupt the space and see this as a hobby more than a life or death situation in terms of money.
Hey guys, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
I know you said you're doing numerous play-to-earn games. What stage of development are you at?
Well, we've in terms of the P2E games, we paid obviously the initial mini, and I said this in probably I guess the whole logic for us behind this obviously is to roll out utilities as well, because we see the value in obviously protecting our investor as well as attracting new investors and all that as well. As a concept in that respect, the P2E utility games that we've got in development, that's already in its final phase. So in terms of timeline for us, we're hopeful that once the DApp and swaps and all that are online, that we would this mini game wouldn't be far behind. We do have a lot more plans for the games. My thinking behind this is obviously to bring forth a suite of different games that squid themes related, sort of different games. Casinos and all that. You're looking at obviously blackjack, roulette, pokers, games, and all that that will come online. But as I said, it's a balancing act for us between obviously the costs and the development as well.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel you on that when it comes to games. Will your games be playable on mobile as well as PC, Mac?
That is on the table for us, but I guess the priority for us at the moment is to get the game out there at this stage, and then we will look at obviously customize it to mobile versions and all that down the track as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then let me just field some from the chat here. Looks like I can't. This is from Crypto Villages. It's T-Bot. Honestly, I wanted to say T-Boy for a second because the 7 was a Y, but that's a completely different thing. But their question was on the site. You guys say you guys want to work your way into the movie. What kind of connections do you guys have, if any?
Okay, so that's obviously the concept. The reason why we came up with the obviously name the SQUIDWORLD is obviously to try and ride the FOMOs and all that with all the Netflix series that's coming online down the tracks there. But we're also quite mindful about the copyright side of things as well. Hence the name SQUIDWORLD rather than Squid Game. In that respect, the plan for us, obviously, we would be keen to actually engage in partnership discussion with the Netflix officials and all that down the track. We want to actually position ourselves as obviously a Squid Game meme sort of community, so that in the event that the Netflix official is considering coming into the crypto space, that we will give ourselves the best opportunity and chances to have that discussion with them.
So then, just to confirm, no direct connections, but still a goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's fine, by the way. I mean, that's totally chilling. I think somebody was just wondering if there was like a direct connection that had prompted that being on there. Hopefully that clears that up as well. And then just kind of leading through here, how long does the pre-sale run for? So let's say it doesn't fill up instantly. How long do people have to go ahead and try to invest?
Well, we put it in. Obviously, the pre-sale will run until around the end of the month. But obviously, if our hard cap is reached, whenever the case that might be, then obviously we can move straight to launch.
Yeah, we have a launch planned on the 29th.
Awesome. Awesome. And then just kind of going down the questions as well here. They were asking, can you give us any insight as to what type of game you guys are working on? Is that the casino itself, or is there a casino-like game?
Um,
You could
please
also say you can't
understand.
disclose that. Yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
So please understand from our perspective, we want to actually bring utilities to people as soon as we can and as soon as it's practical. The mini games initially would be just obviously something for people to engage themselves with, obviously to start earning the obviously the prize and the winnings and all that as well. But for us, going forward, as a plan as far as the game is concerned, that we will bring in a different suite of games. As I said before, casino is probably what we want to be appealing to the obviously the Asian market as well. I know they're very strong with regards to the gamings and all that side of thing as well. So that's our plan there. But yeah, we getting obviously some promo video done. Hopefully that will be finalized this week. And we will be putting those obviously promo out there for people to see.
Okay, awesome. So I think I've run through all the questions in chat here at this time. I just wanted to give an option for anybody over voice to jump in and ask any questions if you have any.
Per usual, Luca, thank you for coming in and saving the day for me. I really appreciate you, bud.
No problem. I know you were mid-pitch on Twitter, so it's all good.
Hey, so I do have another question. Actually, it's a two-part question. One, we'll make it just kind of friendly for SQUIDWORLD, just for future listeners and everything. What is your social links? How can everybody find you and everything like that? Two, with it being a SQUIDWORLD, with it being lots of hype, and it is the meme, it is the fire. What is y'all's strategy? Are y'all wanting to kind of do this like a slow, organic style, or are y'all trying just to hit launch and just get as much attention and get as much hype as possible? And what are y'all strategies kind of going about that?
Okay, the manager, you want to answer that, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, in terms of strategies, of course, it's well thought out, the launch in the end of the month, because Emmys are coming out to show in mid-September. So that's a very nice point for us to actually do the launch now, building up for the Emmys. And then later on, we will build up our utilities, because when we have staking and LP staking, the thing about that is, of course, that we have to have something the investors can wait for, and then stake their tokens and get more tokens back. So then we come into the phase where the reality show of the Squid Game starts. There will be another promo for that, which we can take advantage of. And then in the end of next year, hopefully the Squid 2 season 2 comes out. So the strategy for us, we won't set it too long, but we're definitely looking for like 16 to 18 months ahead now with activities and stuff that we are planning. So we've already started also thinking about the growth phase and also the maturity phase on where we will land different partnerships and different games, not mini games, but also looking into metaverse and NFT marketplace, trading NFTs, taking NFTs, and all that. So there is much to come if this really takes off, which we hopefully do think it will, because we've everything lined up. We do have connection in the space. We have private funds also to kind of boost this if it's kind of slow in the start. So yeah, we are very hopeful that our strategy is now also set in the roadmap will concur. So to also do this and also later maybe lower the tax, we're definitely looking at certificate audit to bring in bigger investors and whales, so we also can get our roadshow going and also get to attend different exhibitions and stuff.
Awesome. Appreciate the insight into the kind of strategy and, a little bit about the, private funding and things like that. Just to
I
kind
guess
of continue
can I add to it as well that we want people to come in and stay. We don't want to go in there crash and burn sort of situations where we want people to come in, see the value in obviously the what we've got on the table and offer and all that, and want them to stay with us. We are here for a long term, but there are obviously, we recognise there are hurdles along the way. We are talking to others, as the manager said, with obviously marketing firms and all that. And obviously there is a balancing act as well for us with regards to the costings and all that as well. So as much as we try to obviously give you as much clarity around that, as you know, in any startups and all that, there's a number of myriad things that we need to balance up as well. But one thing you can be assured that we are here. We will drive it as hard as we can. There are, as you said, the manager said, private funding and all that. There, I mean, for us, even I mean, I personally, as a project lead and the manager, as well as a team, that we've thrown a fair bit of fund into developments and all that, just to get the utilities out to people there. I hope that people can see that what we're doing. We're not here in terms of just giving you a piece of paper and making empty promises and then hopeful that we make money out of any other stuff there to enable us to actually start the utilities. We wanted to turn it around the other way. We want to bring the utilities out to you, and then hopeful that we can obviously make some money out of it and obviously bring the value to you guys as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. And it do cost a lot of money to actually get the utilities developed now in the establishment phase, round one, and also then in the introduction phase when we are commencing this private sale that's been done, and the pink cell launch, and also the pancake launch. After those things, and also after doing a lot of callers, which is very popular on Telegram, and also AMAs on Telegram, and this, like in Discord, we have to expand the marketing, because then we've done the word of mouth and all the hype. So then it's back to normal life, and okay, what do we do then? That's where the marketing bureaus are coming into play, because they are professionals. They do cost a lot of money. I think we need a minimum of $35,000 and up to $50,000 to actually set out the plan, which will engage PR, media, articles, social media, CEOs, ads, analytics, YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitter influencers, all that. So that is in our strategies, and hopefully this takes off at launch, and we'll get it through. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to implement those kind of strategies into the market.
Okay. Thank you for the comprehensive breakdown on that. Just to kind of continue through with the questions that were being asked in the chat, this one's from Ernie. Are the other projects that you've been a part of still ongoing? And then if they are not, did they just kind of fizzle out, or were they folded intentionally?
Yeah, I was founder of kind of Christmas token. So it was called Santa BTC. We started off late November and ended it at 28th of December last year, because it was a calendar based project. We also did the kind of collections for a foundation, and we had a goal all the way to actually do a grand prize on the second day of Christmas of $5,000, and see where we were. And then everyone sold off, so then it was like, okay, let's pause it and see next Christmas if we can do something like it again. And then I did also a little project now in March, February, March, Ukraine Rise Up. That was also to support a foundation called the Refugee for Refugees that was placed on the borders of Romania and Ukraine to collect the donation think we got in 4,000 euros to those people working there to take in refugees from Ukraine and get them settled with clothes and everything they need to actually go into Europe or other parts of the world and have a good life during the war and of course after the war has ended as well. So that was also short term, yeah.
Okay. Definitely appreciate the background on that. And so realistically, they were, specific topical events, and it seems like they were charity fundraising around those specific events, one of them being
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah,
and the other being the initial war breakout in Ukraine. And so I can definitely see the perspective of why those, are kind of being tabled for you to do something more long term, I take it.
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay.
correct.
Another question that was asked, this one by Bullish Beetlejuice. For the staking, will it be in wallet staking? Will it be through your own platform or a third party such as Brew Labs?
Good question. I do love Brew Labs. I have a good connection with Maverick there. He's a good guy. So we've used that before with the Ukraine Raise Up and Santa. Just me, of course, from that team that is here now. But this time around, it will be branded as SQUIDWORLD. So we're basically developing those utilities with the team in Holland.
Fantastic. Okay, so it'll be more in-house then, or it will
It
be
will
as
it
a
will be
through your
more.
development
It will,
team.
yes, it will be more in-house in that respect. We've got obviously it's in an, well the actual smart contract itself is already in its final phase of auditing and what have you in that respect. So we be looking at bring. Look, I for me I like to never say no to anything. Right, and it's a harder thing for us to actually shut any doors in that respect. There, in terms of the swap utilities and all that, it's going to be in house, but there are options and all that down the track if it's warranted. That we look at other obviously external staking platform and all that if you like, if it's warranted down the track.
Okay,
Hmm.
awesome. Just to kind of move on, another question from Bullish Beetlejuice. In regards to the tokenomics, is it self-reflecting, reflecting Squid World token, or is it stable?
It will be native tokens, so you'll get the 2% reflections automatically as you obviously people buy and sell, and it will be in SQW tokens.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And then Ernie, I'm not entirely sure what your question means there. I don't know if you want to clarify that. He was asking who's going to transport LNG to Germany. Um, but I think that's a meme. Not too sure.
I actually had a
Uh,
question. What was the name of the first project, the Christmas one?
Sent the BTC.
I think yeah, Santa BTC. So and I think he had mentioned he'd used Brew Labs as well. So you could probably go on there and see the former pools that were on there.
Yeah, in Santa BTC we didn't use it, but I used it in Ukraine Raise Up. So please talk to Maverick. He knows the manager. In
All
terms
right.
of staking now, we will have fixed APIs, and we will have early penalty fees for those people who want to enter staking. So, if I'm not wrong, here we will have 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, and 180 days.
Awesome. I do just want to be mindful of time as well. We are coming up on the hour here. I know we got off to a little bit of a late start, but I just wanted to give one last chance for anybody to ask any questions. We made it through all the ones in chat. So this would be your now or never moment. Otherwise, you'll have to chase them down afterwards. All right. It seems like we are good. I just wanted to thank you guys for cruising on into the Discord and chatting with everybody. Sorry for the little chaoticness last second. Wait a second, Ricky. I just saw you unmute your mic. Did you want to ask a question?
No, thanks for the AMA, guys. Appreciate it. No, nothing there.
All right, sweet. Yeah, thank you
Thank
guys.
you,
Really
guys.
appreciate you coming in.
And it seems to be.
Can I just say, in terms of closing, please, guys, we are here. We are the real deal. We're here to stay. I mean, we are pretty much upfront, as you realise by now. We walk into these things with our eyes open, but we do need your support. Right, without you guys, it's our job probably harder than it is now to try and obviously to bring some change into this space. So please support us, get the words there, and hopefully in months to come we can sit down and look at this whole thing, and over a beer.
Yeah. This group has been fantastic so far. I think we have 22 people from this Discord group actually signed up for whitelist spots. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we can call this AMA over. Since it's just a general voice chat, you can feel free to lurk around as long as you want, but I'm